Joe Rogan podcast, check it out. Okay. Turn by the Joe Rogan podcast. All that. Joe Rogan podcast, check it out. Check it out. The Joe Rogan experience. Turn by the Joe Rogan podcast. All that. Check it out. Check it.
Yeah. Okay. Why would you?
Everything's good. You're not you, baby. We might think about it. Why? What else? Man, that's my fucking man.
Even
One moment, trusted the computers, and I'm all yours.
oh, I see. Okay. Like, yeah.
How you living, Pam? What's good? Oh, okay. Very cool. I'm gonna have to pay more attention. How are you doing? Shit happens when you party naked. I think you could be right. Word dog. I think so. Perhaps for some people. Oh, I get you. Oh, baby, I'm a star. I get what you're saying, and I can understand. Everybody's kind of got an orbit. Absolutely. All right, let's continue to hear what you're saying. Just one moment.
You have. Yeah. What? It helps. I was. And I was. And then I. No. Yeah. Yeah.
People bullshit. Fall back. You
Yeah.
just things, you know.
Yeah. I.
You know, then I'll rewrite.
Oh.
Yeah, cross. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sweet. That's
Yeah.
behavior and all they're almost they're saying they're and there's a lot
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
liberal because right, liberal that is just you allow it. So if you right anyway they just don't or you're either one.
Have one of those Merry memories. Girl, what happened to you? Oh, that is so fucking funny. That is so fucking funny. Bitch, you gotta have one of those Mary Lou Henner memories, huh?
Did you? They're one of where you my uncle go for it. See,
I'm have one of the little tenor memories.
I don't remember. I was in. So sorry. Like what? It did because I saw human beings. They really they're so ultimate. Without cult ideas. This
Hey, you're gonna have one of the Mary Lou Henner memories by the time I'm done with you.
way
Like Thursday.
but it's
Oh, that night.
he's
But you put it
and is it white it's just maybe and not it's it makes it's how
It's
oh, that's so fucking funny.
this is so like it's all about he Gator this people the most I mean the people tricks them. They've just like you with there was you became happened, you know,
I promise that's not an issue. I've never thought of
said
it.
this you I'm like I have this I don't know everyone
It's you.
here we are here we
the room. Don't. It's just that you
Yeah.
can't resist.
Yeah.
You know, so that's just like no. How about that? That's what you. Oh,
Yeah.
free rest for a lot. Just like, you know, what's the they do? Well, now you guys, but
Yeah.
like, I all they yeah, or there's a
Yeah.
lot. No, it's not enough. There was prescribed a bunch like that's that.
Yeah.
You know, real what
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, that have to solution. No.
Okay. And there's and then your wall and a lot I wall they get it, but when you have to remember that money, money. We could all, I think, the they should, they should, if, even if they would say, like, that's what, but it wouldn't. And when you shit make,
Yeah.
make, well,
This guy.
and then you,
Oh,
only
yeah. Yeah. Like, there was. Like, you should. This. No.
There's, you never,
No.
to lose the, and what's
What's the deal with airplane peanuts? He was the host of the famed podcast, legendary podcast, The Church of What's Happening Now. He has his own podcast now with Lee Syatt.
He was a longtime host of the amazing podcast, The Church of What's Happening Now. Because him and Lee Syatt, they were together when they were at the club together. And I'm like, come on, let's get the band back together.
4 years and 3 long months since their final episode back in August of 2020, one of comedy's most beloved podcasts, The Church of What's Happening Now with Joey Diaz and Lee Syatt, is officially coming back on all platforms.
And I'm trying to bring back The Church of What's Happening Now. Because him and Lee Syatt, they were together when they were at the club together. And I'm like, come on, let's get the band back together. You guys together were fucking amazing.
That show kept people alive.
Joey Diaz's show was one of the most ridiculous, silly, preposterous shows.
For the last 4 years, Joey Diaz and Lee Syatt have been doing a remote podcast called The Check-In, but the magic of the church was never fully replicated through Zoom, and the show did not feature any guests. And after moving back to New Jersey with his daughter, it seemed like Joey Diaz might have been slowly stepping away from the comedy world, but it turns out he's now back and better than ever.
I'm back like herpes, brother. Don't worry about nothing. This will all work itself out. Today the delivery came, the furniture, we got carpets, shades, and that's pretty much it. Now we just got to get it all set up. And I tell you what, I'm going to burn this Zoom. I am so happy. I'm done. Like, I'm done. I've been doing a podcast for 4 years that has basically been a disaster. Like, you know what I'm saying? But when I moved here, that's the best I could do. I didn't even think about a Zoom. I was Zooming in guests, but they were a pain in the ass. The Zooms wouldn't work. And it's like we had this podcast for like 10 years going, 8 years. And then for 4 years, I had like, they put me back in the B leagues. It seems like I'm back with the farm team. But I'm okay with that because now it's a you part with. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sure a lot of people were disappointed. But listen, that was the best I could do with what I had to work with for a year or two. Listen, I didn't like doing it. I was having a hard time with doing it. That's why I cut it from 2 episodes to 1. It was brutal.
There are still a lot of questions left unanswered about what this return to church will actually look like. After all, this was one of the biggest comedy podcasts in the world when it ended, and still accounts for dozens of the most viral clips people are watching to this day. So right now, the excitement from fans for the New Testament is higher than Lee. So my first question to you is, how long has this return been in the works, and did Joe Rogan actually have a role in you guys returning?
You know what? I'm honestly still surprised we're coming back. It's coming back the same way it ended, to be honest, just kind of out of, like, not out of nowhere, but when we ended, I think it was like June and we left in August. Like, Joey makes decisions very quickly. When I saw Rogan, it was in May, I was opening for someone at Cap City. I went down to Rogan's Club, and he was talking about it, and it was great, and we were already doing the check-in, but I had no plans to move to New York. And then over the summer, I got the opportunity to move to New York for stand-up. It was kind of something that we had talked about getting an office, but I was on the road, and Joey called me and said, hey, I found this great office. It's in the basement. I'm here now, and we're just setting up. So honestly, it sort of happened over the last couple of months. I think you guys know Joey. Joey does whatever he wants when he wants.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to say he had nothing to do with it, but it was great to see him and Theo talking about it. I don't remember most of the church, but I know we had a lot of fun.
Well, was it just your location, you not being in New York by Joey, that was keeping the church from happening?
Honestly, I was surprised when we started doing the check-in. We ended after 8 years of the church, and we ended on great terms. But I was 300 plus pounds. Joey had been doing stand-up forever, and we just sort of needed a break. He went to Jersey. I went back to Boston. He did Uncle Joey's joint for a little bit. We talked 4 or 5 times a week, if not more. And one day he just called me and said, hey, you want to do it on Zoom? And we've been doing it for about a year on Zoom, and the check-in's been great. When I got the opportunity to move to New York, it was just like, I'm here now. Might as well do it in person. The podcast is always better in person.
Well, you said that you are in the studio. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but could we get a sneak peek for the Joke World viewers of what's going on?
Yeah, so you can see it. It's not much yet, and when we start on Monday, it's gonna be a work in progress. But we're in the studio right now. This is about, I would say, 4 times bigger than our biggest office in LA.
Wow.
So we have a ton of room. We're going to have a little bit of a different layout. We have a few different ideas for different kinds. It's not going to just be the podcast thing. We're still going to have the podcast, but we're going to do a lot on Joey's YouTube from this area. So trust me, I would love to dox myself. I don't know where I am. I have no idea. Joey gives me edibles. I show up here, and I know we're somewhere on the East Coast. I don't know.
Back to that Rogan episode where he was talking about you guys with Theo. He also mentioned that Joey Diaz might be looking for some sort of temporary apartment in Austin. If that happened, would you be coming with him during those times, or would the church also be going back to Zoom?
The one thing that I've learned about Joey is that I don't ask questions. So I have no idea where he's going, what he's doing. We have the studio here, so for right now I'm planning on being here. I have no idea what's happening really in 5 minutes. So I have no idea what would happen if that happened.
Before the check-in started, you were technically the producer of the church. When the show comes back, are you going to be an official co-host, or are you still going to be doing producer responsibilities? What's that going to look like?
Joey, he told me this a million times. I pay you to get high on the internet, and we're not going to get as high. We're going to have a lot of fun. I'm still going to get very high. I'm here to do whatever.
Most people remember the old days of the Church of What's Happening Now being almost
Octopus
like
Music Land. Oh,
Instead
it's Octopus
of
Music Land.
testing the limits of spicy wing sauce, comics would take massive doses of edibles alongside Joey Diaz and hang on for dear life the rest of the episode, which was a lot of fun to watch. On paper, this revamp seems like it could be a cool opportunity to recreate the church in a New York setting after doing 8 years in LA. But a lot has happened in the last 4 years, both in the lives of Joey Diaz and Lee Syatt, as well as within the landscape of podcasting as a whole.
The terrain changed. The terrain really changed a lot in the podcast world in 4 years, you know. And the Chinese app, Twitch, whatever they do, they jump up and down for a minute. It's out, TikTok and all that. And now these are all elements that you can use towards a better podcast, you know. So I don't want to come back weaker. Now, I want to come back stronger. I want to come back doing things that we didn't do on the church because we were too stoned.
Instead of trying to forcefully recreate old magic, like when they keep trying to bring back old sitcoms, Joey and Lee are aware enough to realize when it's time to adapt and change. And this new attitude has already been reflected in their plans for the New Testament.
Something that Joey has talked about for years is just growth. He has a vision for, it's called the Church of What's Happening Now, the New Testament. So it's, we're going to take what we had and we're gonna have a lot of fun, but we aren't the same people who we were when we started the church. Joey has a daughter who is getting older. I wasn't doing stand-up, so I think it's just reflective of who we are, and we're still going to go get crazy. I'm sure there's going to be a comedian on at some point. There's too many great comics in New York, but there's also a lot of people who you haven't heard on podcasts. The only problem with so many great comedians having so many great podcasts is you hear these people all the time, and that's great, but we're trying to do something a little bit different. It's a lot of people we haven't seen on podcasts before. It's a lot of Joey's friends and family and people who can tell the stories they've heard from like different points of view. It's something you haven't seen a lot of before.
Like you said, there's so many great comedians in New York. There were so many great comedians in LA when you guys were over there. And you now are in the New York. You're one of these comedians that are performing there in New York. So how is that going for you? How is your personal stand-up journey going? How is it being in what many people consider the mecca of stand-up comedy?
New York's been great. I bombed super hard last night. That was that was my first big bomb in New York. So that was a wake up experience. But it's been a dream of mine to live in New York since before stand-up. And now with stand-up, I feel like I'm in a dream world. So New York's been awesome. I'm slowly getting into the scene a little bit, meeting people, doing shows. I've been very lucky that the end of this year of 2024 has been booked out for a little bit. So I've been on the road a lot. I'm still going to do the road when it makes sense, but my goal in 2025 is to really get immersed into the scene and start auditioning and hopefully performing at, like, not the Cellar, I'm saying I'm going to be there, but some of the other clubs in New York and the bar shows. That's what my next year is.
Holy shit, this is long.
This month, November, is 7 years of doing stand-up.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's been fun. I mean, we had COVID, so it's awesome, probably closer to 6, but it's been a dream. I've gone to do some shows that have been amazing. We have some great shows coming up. I'm opening up for Joey at Parks Casino the night before Thanksgiving. We have a lot of cool shows. Honestly, it's a dream. This is never where I thought my life would be, especially when I met Joey 13 years ago.
It's kind of a generic question, but just what are you most excited for about the Church of What's Happening Now coming back after a 4-year hiatus?
We didn't hang out with Joey. I mean, it's, we had a great time. I think something that the church has that other podcasts, I don't want to say that they don't, but that's something that makes the church unique. Is that honestly with us hanging out, we didn't have any producers like putting us in skits or like doing things that we wouldn't talk about normally. Like when Joey and I hang out, he gives me edibles. I try not to take as many edibles as he wants to give me. He gives me more. We giggle. We talk about some serious stuff. We have some fun. I'm just looking to have fun again. The chicken wasn't fun. And I had a lot of fun over the last few years, but especially the beginning of the church, it's me auditing. And considering that to be a journey of mine, and now it's going to be cool to see. It's going to be a lot of fun. I think that sums up this fun for sure.
Okay, I thought of one last question for you. And you might not be able to answer this, and it's very hypothetical. But do you think there's a chance, we haven't seen this in a long time, that Joey or the two of you together, which would be really cool, might do like a podcast run of the New York scenes to promote, hey, the church is back, like, catching you guys on some other podcasts, as comedians tend to do.
Like I said earlier with Jimmy, anything is possible. I don't have any plans. You'll find out when you see this on the podcast. Honestly, we're so excited for the Church of What's Happening Now, the New Testament. We're going to have a good time. It's going to be on Joey's YouTube every Tuesday morning, live and in person. Welcome back, motherfuckers. It's going to be a great time.
For me to go back and combine the circle and start that all over again, what I want to do is write that trouble in Hudson County. I want to put Mr. Barone on. I want to put Roy Hernandez on. I want to put my 8th grade teacher on. I want to put my 6th grade teacher on. I got cops. We got musicians that live in New Jersey. I'm going to interview a lot of regular people that are more interesting than any of these fucking celebrities that you see, these personalities, because they didn't put tattoos to be cool.
Are you fucking serious? What the fuck? Stupid ass thing. And I want to fall. Oh man, and she's a man, right? She got electric boots from all her suit. I read it in a magazine. Oh. Scooby-Doo. How the fuck is that happening? Very interesting. Okay, disconnect. Reconnect. Do, 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 do.